No, no, you're good. I actually enjoyed what we did. What we did the other day. That was actually. I've been meaning to do that for a little while. Just kind of, I mean, because I think it was fun for Greasy Goose. I think it was fun for Professor Shamrock. I think it was fun for Prop Rat. Like, hey, I'm in a bomber. I've got my smoke on. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly where I am. Come after me, and they did, man. They certainly did. All right, we're starting off in the Scharnhorst. We got to encounter, destroy 10 enemy vessels. We only have one spawn to choose from, so we're going to choose it. And I'm going to try to get into these islands over here. We're going to light up this whole lane immediately with some torpedoes. No, Greasy, I'm just trying to start some streams with the Scharnhorst before. I'm trying to collect some video footage of the Scharn. I play it all the time off stream. Just trying to start my streams by playing the Scharnhorst like before too many people get here, before we move on to Sim. Scharnhorst is pretty OP. I agree, Jay Johnson. Am I a CC? Yeah, Mars. I'm an affiliated CC with Gaijin. So I have like the in-game decal and the whole 9 yards. Like I got the discount code and all that. I've had it for a pretty long time. Alright, let's get our guns facing off to the port side here. And see if we can find a nice soft target to start with. I have gotten quite a bit, Mars. Quite a bit over the years. I've been a CC for a long time. I can only ask for so much stuff per month, but I've been a CC for so long that honestly I'm kind of running out of stuff to ask for. Alright. We're removing a good 400 some odd yards from this Wolfram guy here. Sometimes at these extreme ranges, I like to start with those little bots because they don't really take a whole lot of evasive action. And they're just a good way to like jumpstart your initial damage before you get any good gun solutions here. Once I've got my guns desynchronized with the ranging shot, I like to try to just start holding down left click, get the secondaries involved. 07 Berserker, good to see you, brother. So you see what I mean with the, like, if that was a player, he'd probably be taking some pretty extreme evasive action, and a lot of my incoming shots might be semi ineffective. But getting to start off with, so look at those two guys over there, just kind of humping each other. That'll be a good shot. What's up, Piper? Good to see you. Alright, we're almost done reloading our second set of torps here, so we're gonna get ready to launch a lane right over there. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start turning the other way. I'm gonna get one more shot through this right side passage. I don't know if this battleship will be... Oh, never mind. That battleship has a nice lane open. I'm just gonna go ahead and light that whole course up real quick. Start a hard left-hand turn, and get the guns facing off the starboard side. Let's see if we can hit anybody on that side. That battle cruiser might be pretty prime. Fairly certain I have the buy that Russian jet fighter. It's just a BR that I very rarely play. It's pretty difficult to get a good. Oh wow, where did those torpedoes come from? I did not expect that. Either way, we'll just steer right around them. We'll be okay. Got a good hit on that battle cruiser. I'm not sure. There must be a little coastal over here. There he is. Launched another torpedo. Gotta add some distance here. Alright. And we came this way so we could get some more torpedo shots off over here. And go ahead and just launch those bad boys. Get the whole starboard side torpedo shot gone. We got a, what is that, an Alaska right there? Let's go ahead and switch to the armor piercing, see if we can get a magazine shot on this guy. First we gotta worry about finding the magazine. Oof. I think we're gonna eat one of those torpedoes. I don't think I can avoid all of that. I think we're gonna eat 2 of them. Yeah, that sucks. I did not see those coming in time, but that's okay. Let's try not to eat another one. Take a hard evasive turn here, because we have so much momentum drifting us off to the left. And then a hard left-hand turn here. Oh man, we're gonna eat that one too. Oh, golly, dude. Now we sailed right into those torpedoes, man. Trying to find the, there we go, there's the magazine on that Alaska. That's exactly what I was trying to go for right there. Yeah, I don't know who was firing those torpedoes over there, but I should have been paying a little bit more attention. I knew it was risky coming this way. That's why I came this way, was to launch my own torpedoes. And you really got to kind of keep an eye out. I don't know who launched them. There's got to be like some kind of Japanese boy over there. And let's load up semi-armor piercing for these softer targets. We got 2 lake cruisers sailing like right next to each other. They'll be nice and easy to take out. Alright, we are ready to launch our own set of torpedoes again. We're going to go ahead and get them right on all these objectives. Get that Prinz Eugen, or that Hipper over there. Get that light cruiser right there. Light up that whole lane. And then one more right over there. And then we're going to see if we can get another set on this battleship here. Just light up everything ahead of him. I just kind of like to go left and right of the gray line there, just in case they speed up or slow down or start a turn. You still got a decent chance to hit them. Our A turret is down right now. You guys can see that in the damage window. I'm gonna leave it dead for just a little bit until I can kind of close the distance here. Yeah, the Scharnhorst is just pretty okay. We just got a Congo, that destroyer, or that battleship that was out there. We launched those torpedoes at him a while ago, and those hit, and that's why we launched them. I'm not too worried about direct damage right now. I don't have any players that are threatening me too badly. That Northampton's as good as dead with that last little hit. We've got a destroyer stuck in the bridge over there. He'll be a prime target. I'm going to use the secondaries to try to find our lag lead here. We're pretty close. I think just slightly more to the right. Right about here. That ought to just about do it. We're already sitting in first place, and we've almost closed the distance to the enemy team. We did eat 3 torpedoes, which did not start us off on the right foot. But we're just going to get back here and try to lay some torpedo waste to the enemies, and that's what I'm waiting on the repair. I'm not going to fix that A turret until I get a little bit closer. The reason being, I don't want to like open myself up to more damage prior to getting in there and tanking. Like if I fix my tertiary batteries right now and I take some more shells, you know, I'm just gonna be burning through crew for no reason. So we're gonna wait on the reparation for as long as we can. Now that Mogami right there, that might be the fellow that launched torpedoes at me earlier. I'll guarantee he's doing it again. You can see his torpedo tubes right there are aiming right at me, and they're emptying. So I'm gonna let him empty his torpedo tubes, and we're gonna start our right-hand turn here, try to hit him in the magazine. Let me just check and make sure that all his torpedo tubes are empty. It looks like they are empty, so we're going to start a hard right-hand turn here now that he's launched everything. And we're going to launch our own torpedoes back at him. It looks like my starboard side torpedoes aren't quite ready. Go ahead and get him in the magazine. There's his torpedoes coming my way, and that's why we started that right-hand turn, just in anticipation of that, so we don't get caught with our pants down again. And we'll go ahead and bring our primary battery off here to the port side. Go ahead and fix up some flooding. And it looks like that Mogami just went down. Alright, we've got the Krasny Krim right here, and I think it's about time for me to fix my C and A turrets. Because now we're going to be really starting to use a lot of this stuff. Go ahead and point blank on this guy, try to find his magazine right around in there. A little bit further to the right. Right about there, ought to do it. There we go. There's that magazine. We're in there now. Now we just need to get that. Now we just need to get that lucky shot. Right about there. Come on. We just chewed through his belt. Need to aim just a little lower. Just a little lower. Right about there. Come on now. Alright, I'm going to give up on that one and get ready for some torpedoes on this Southampton here. I could torpedo that Krasny Krim the rest of the way down. Let me get a couple more hits on this Hipper out there. Let me get a hit on this destroyer out here with the torpedo. Let me get a hit on this Enterprise here with the torpedo. And then we can spin our guns off to the right. And we can finish up this Krasny Krim with, I think one torpedo ought to do it on him. Go ahead and fix up some flooding damage real quick. One torpedo on that Krasny. And then we're going to actually steer to the left, because I'm guessing that they're going to launch a whole bunch of torpedoes over this way. Looks like that torpedo's going to be nice and good there, and he's down. We gotta see these. This is why I'm turning hard to the left. I figured they'd be launching a bunch of torpedoes there. We're gonna fix up our primary turrets, get a couple of torpedo hits on this Sverdlov, and try to find his magazines as well. So right about there ought to be his magazine. Close, but not quite. I'm going to switch to armor piercing on the reload there. Looks like we just got that Enterprise as well, and we're going to light up that Mogami in the back and that Sverdlov. Get torpedoes on both of them, and then one more for this Congo. Buoyancy is critical. We're going to go ahead and fix that up. Try to hit this Mogami, because he's got the best angle on me right now, and that should be a decent magazine shot right about there. That's a pretty good magazine hit. We took out about 30% of his crew in one hit. And then one more torpedo right there on that light cruiser before we go behind the cliff. Get the reload started on our torpedoes, and we're kind of safer behind this island now. If they launched any torpedoes, I mean, you could see how far forward I'm playing. My whole team is back here. Their whole team is up here. I'm basically inside their fucking spawn. We just hit the 15,000 damage mark. We took out 6 ships, so we've already got the game's not even halfway over, and we've already got our max reward in terms of getting that RP and SL booster. We are struggling a little bit from those 3 torpedo hits that we took earlier, but we're getting the flooding taken care of now. That's why I kind of retreated behind this island. I'm going to come out here on this southern side and see who's not paying attention. These guys out here in the southern side, they're going to be having their hands full with all those dudes, so we might be able to, like, all those guys on the north side, they were ready for me. They were absolutely, like, saw me coming a mile away. Now, I'm hoping when I come around here, we're going to catch somebody not paying attention and be able to just get a couple of easy hits. Our buoyancy is critical. I think we got some unrepairable breaches right there in midships, that big blue section, so that's really slowing us down. But it's not too bad. We got some really good torpedo hits starting to happen on the other side. So we're up to almost 16k damage now. I think 3 torpedo hits went through after we came over. I can get one quick hit with my C battery on this Sumner here. That's just an easy little free hit right there. Take out about half his crew in one shot. Because I don't see anybody on this southern side that's ready to go just yet. But there's the Wyoming. We're starting to see the Wyoming now. We're gonna put our secondary battery on armor piercing, our primary battery on armor piercing. We got our torpedoes ready to go. The Wyoming's waiting for me. Let's try to hit him right there in the magazine. Slightly too far to the right. We'll just bring it slightly over to the left here. And we're gonna give him just a couple of torpedo shots there. Just a couple, 3, 4 of them. And try to hit his magazine one more time. Looks like he's turning. So we're gonna go ahead and give him just a couple, 3, 4 more on the inside of his turn. Try to hit that magazine one more time. Still slightly too far to the right. And I think we just finally succumbed to our damage. We couldn't tank all those torpedo hits as well as I would have liked, man. Eating 3 torpedoes on the way was brutal for sure. We are not in the right control mode. Not ideal to eat 3 torpedoes from Long Lance. We're at 17k damage. I got 3 assists, 6 kills, 1 AI destroyed. We're at 4,000 points. We're like more than double anybody else's score. I'm gonna quickly just make sure that I'm not gonna bomb a friendly. We're just gonna drop our bombs on that island right there so they don't hit anybody. And we're just going into a quick climb here. Full wep, try to hit about 160 knots, and then bring the nose down and try to pick up a couple of... Nope, our torpedoes are hitting that Wyoming pretty hard. That's most excellent for sure. He will struggle with that a bit. We've taken out about 6 of the AI ships in the back there, which is great. A lot of them... Well, we took out the most difficult one, the Admiral Hipper. Why arcade? That is such a great question. I like both, honestly. B2 production, the realistic mode can be a lot of fun. The arcade mode is a lot more fun. It's a lot more active. You get more points per action in RB, but you get a lot more actions per game in arcade. A lot of people tell me when it comes to Naval that Naval is boring, which I find to be laughable because most of those players are tank players, and I'm like, dude, if you have fun, like if you think tanks are entertaining camping in a bush, but being in a non-stop fight with Naval is boring, I think you're probably playing Naval incorrectly. I play RB, I play arcade. One thing that bothers me a lot about the RB mode is the lack of spotting. Being on a 1,000 person ship and being the only set of eyeballs to actually like see anything. A lot of the RB players like that the enemies aren't marked. I think that's absolutely asininely dumb. In that regard, I think realistic is actually less realistic than arcade. I'm on a 1,000 person ship. I have multiple people whose sole job it is to look in one particular direction. I already have my hands full with enough stuff going on already. And like, you know, having to like run around like a chicken with your head cut off in Naval, constantly scanning every single direction while you're trying to like manage torpedoes, manage, you know, air threats, and manage your direct fire control. It's kind of silly. If there was like multi-crewing or something like that, it'd be a little bit more appealing. But RB actually tends to have a much slower and conservative gameplay style. A lot of people do island camping in RB. Like I said, in a lot of ways, the realistic mode is the least realistic of all the different naval modes because the slower speeds, the lack of spotting, it promotes a certain gameplay style. It rewards a certain gameplay style that is like island camping, which is about the dumbest way to play naval in the game. It's not at all how naval fleets would battle at all. Whereas in arcade, if you sit behind an island, you're fucked. You're super dead. You're not gonna do well. Arcade mode like basically automatically punishes that sort of behavior, whereas in RB it like rewards it pretty heavily. That is why I tend to prefer arcade. Mostly also to show people that Naval is a lot more fun than they may have been led to believe. So there's a lot of content creators out there doing RB mode, and people will watch and be like, this looks dumb, this looks boring. I try to show them the arcade mode where it's a lot more active, there's a lot more shit going on, and kind of show them that Naval is actually a lot. If you play it correctly, there's a lot more going on in Naval than you may have been led to believe. My least favorite part about the arcade mode is this right here, the fact that aircraft reload bombs. I wish they would do away with this. If it weren't for this, I think arcade mode would be the best. But honestly, right now, I don't think you can go wrong either way. One of the biggest reasons I play arcade over RB, and like I said, I do play both, but I tend to stick to arcade mode because of the queue times. The queue times for arcade are way fucking faster. I will sit in like 3, 4, 5 minute queues for RB, and then I'll sit in a 20-second queue for arcade. It's kind of crazy at top tier just how advantageous it is to play those faster matches. And people will say, well, you get more experience, you get more money in RB, and I think that is a misrepresentation. I think you get paid more per action in RB mode, but because of the faster pace of arcade, you end up having way more actions per game, and I tend to find that, at least from my personal experience, it's a bit of a wash. I pretty much make the same in either mode, it doesn't really matter. I do less in RB, but I get paid more for what I've done, and I do a lot more in arcade, but I get paid slightly less for what I do. So I tend to make anywhere between 150 to 250,000 silver lions in about 15 to 20 minutes in an arcade match. You guys should see that here pretty shortly, just from this. This thing right here, I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate the way that aircraft work in arcade mode, but this is one of the primary reasons that people don't island camp. Because the only reason that I haven't killed more people is because they're all out here moving and turning. But if there were people sitting behind this island sitting still, I would have twice the amount of kills. And people know that, and they tend to move, they tend to turn. It tends to kind of force the game to be a lot faster paced, a lot more active. It gets people out into the actual fight. I think we missed. See, like, he's if he had been sitting still, he would be dead as a doornail. But he's out there, he's moving, he's burning, he's shaking. So now I got to go back and hit him again. But like right there, we got that light cruiser back there that's just camping. So we're gonna go over there. We're just gonna throw a real easy bomb right on his deck. But first, I'm gonna toss one more at this light cruiser because he's kind of in my way. Right about now, the Japanese cruisers, they're super fast, so you got to kind of give them a good little lead here. Honestly, dude, the torps are my favorite part. I think they keep the game. I think they keep the game so much more faster paced, so much more interesting, dude. I think it's one of my most favorite things to do in the game is to launch and avoid enemy torpedoes, man. It does drive people absolutely crazy because a lot of people get tunnel vision in Naval. It's very easy to focus on one thing, and that is what leads to a lot of failure. You got to come out of your gun sight. You've got to stop shooting for a second. You've got to be willing to change targets. You got to look at what's going on around you, and you've got to have some semblance of like ability to predict what the enemy is gonna do. And I don't always get it right, but I've got a pretty good finger on the pulse when it comes to like, if I was the enemy and I was in a Shimakaze, where would I put torpedoes? And then I'm constantly checking in those lanes, and when I see those torpedoes, I start avoiding them 2, 3, 4 minutes ahead of time. See, with those guys sitting still like that, we got we killed that light cruiser about halfway, and the other one got one-shotted. So this guy's just sitting still. Actually, now he's going backwards. It seems like he may have learned his lesson, but we're just gonna drop 2 more on him here. We're at 24,000 damage now. I'm gonna try to finish up this. I could finish the game right now. Oh, hey, that J7W is coming to kill me. Nice. Somebody's finally coming to destroy my J288. Oh man, he started pulling. He stopped. All right, so the J7, we're gonna have to worry about him in just a second. Here he comes, but first, before we worry about him, let's finish off this light cruiser here. And here comes the J7. Let's just go ahead and give him a nice little evasion. Hard left rudder turn. Doesn't matter, the game is over, so we're all squared away. Let's see what the reward screen looks like. This is why I predominantly play the arcade mode. Super fast-paced games. Let me see, 24 minutes, 23 seconds, and we put up 145,000 Silver Lions and 19,000 RP in just a super quick, active match. Lots of stuff going on. 11 targets destroyed, 3 enemy kill assists. Just nice and easy. Like I said, RB mode is a lot of fun too. No booster. Yeah, completely no booster. That would have been a great game. Naval is where I use my big boosters, regular serial. Whenever I get those 300s, 500s, I take them to Naval. I've had games where I've made over 1,000,000 Silver Lions in like 15 minutes flat. It's fucking crazy. Because if you get, if you're getting 150 to 200,000 Silver Lions, in a single match, and then you boost that 500%, dude, it's absolutely bonkers. One thing that I see that a lot of people tell me when it comes to the realistic mode is they prefer the aiming, realistic aiming. I got a couple things to say about that. It's the exact same aiming as arcade. It's just a slightly different UI. There's no difference. You can aim further and closer by looking up and down, and instead of having a circle as what you're aiming at, you have a triangle as what to aim at. It's literally the exact same thing, but also the big thing is that you have realistic aiming in arcade mode. In arcade mode, you get to use both, and the way that you do that production is here in the options under Naval. It's just realistic aiming. If you are in arcade mode and you put this on yes, then you will get realistic aiming in arcade. If you put it to no, you'll go back to arcade aiming. Both systems are the exact same systems. I use both extensively. I've been playing Naval for about 3 years. And I think that's just the funniest thing when people tell me constantly, they're like, oh, well, the realistic aiming is better. And I'm like, you realize they're the exact same thing, right? Like, have you used both extensively? And they're like, what do you mean they're the same thing? It's like, they're the same thing, dude. It's like it's a slightly different UI, but it's the exact same mechanics. You know what I mean? In the realistic aiming, you do have the benefit of being able to scroll the mouse wheel, but you can also do it by looking up and down. Sometimes when I'm doing like in arcade mode and I'm doing like very long range, like battleship to battleship 14-kilometer hits, you know what I mean? I will open up my options menu real quick and flip it over to realistic aiming, and be able to get that like fine precision with the mouse wheel, because that can be a huge advantage in those super long range fights. But then it's nice when you get into like that close range kind of knife fighting, or you're playing coastal, or you're playing a destroyer, you can flip the realistic aiming back to no, and then get that like a little bit faster paced aiming. But both systems are the exact same thing, and a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, that's one nice advantage about the arcade system. And also my other really favorite thing about arcade is the highlighting the projectile's fall point. This is when people watch me play Naval, that's one of the biggest thing that gets their goose. They'll see those green lines coming down showing exactly where my shells landed, and they're like, oh my god, how did you get that? And I'm like, you only get that in arcade. And in realistic, you have no, if multiple battleships are firing at the same target, you have to be able to figure out which shells are yours just by picking them out of the bunch. If there's a bunch of splashes, like you're kind of on your own. It's luck of the draw. Whereas if you're playing an arcade, it'll show you which shells are yours, which again, from a realism standpoint, makes a lot of sense to me, because if I was on a ship with 1,000-person crew, there would be several people whose job it was to very strictly watch for that one particular thing, and I wouldn't have to hyper focus on it. Gives me more times to like, zoom out, look for torpedoes, zoom out, see if I'm going to crash into an island or a friendly, zoom out, see if I'm see what's going on with the objectives or control a float plane. There's a lot of shit going on in Naval, so having those extra tools to like let the sailors aboard my ship actually do their fucking job, I find that to be not only realistic but very worthwhile. There's so many things that you can do in naval, but you can't do all of them. So having a few of those tools, like being able to spot enemies on the map, and I know that some people like to. I know that some people like to like sneak up on people in torpedo boats and whatnot, and I totally respect it. People do it to me in RB quite a bit, and I always have to tip my hat at them because getting snuck up on by like a PR-206 when you're out in a battleship it's always kind of funny, but it's about one of the most unreal. It's like you're telling me that this dude's been sailing across open water for like the last 8 kilometers and nobody on my ship said, "Hey, Captain, um, hey, Captain." You know what I mean? So in arcade, it's kind of nice that you do have to sweep your view over. You do have to like kind of scan a little bit, but you'll get at least some kind of like a map UI notification. Anyway, uh, that is, yeah. And as far as the legit strategy goes, like if you do it legit, Sky Shark in arcade, it's possible. Like you can hide actually behind terrain and like still come up and like get those sneaky little hits on stuff. In arcade, you can't in RB. You can literally just sail right up to people in open water. Like you don't have to hide at all. Like the fact that like if you just go way around the north side and everybody's looking east and you're coming in from the north and nobody looks that direction, even though there would be a sailor whose job it is just to look to the north and be like, "Hey, Captain, there's literally a speedboat over there. Like maybe we should fucking spend 20 seconds shooting at that guy for just a second." Uh, you know what I mean? So it's possible, and that's why I say like in a lot of ways like the arcade mode is a lot more realistic than the realistic mode in the way that it actually plays out. Because of the mechanics. The least realistic thing about arcade mode, and my least favorite thing about it, is the fact that the bombers reload their bombs. I would love to see them turn that off, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. But it's a small price to pay for getting people to stop island humping. Honestly, that is, I think, one of the biggest things that ruins naval is that you'll see a lot of people who have no fucking idea how to play naval. They spawn in, they immediately turn their ship 90 degrees, they go full stop on their engines, and then they're like, and they do it in RB a lot because they don't have to worry as much about torpedoes because people only get one shot on their torpedoes, and they don't have to worry as much about aircraft because the aircraft are one and done. In arcade, you stop like that, you're fucking dead. And you can really see a lot of the RB players that are RB mains that come down to arcade because the RB queues are too long, and then they'll come down to arcade and they'll try to do the same RB tactics and they just get absolutely fucking wrecked. And then that kind of further reinforces the fact that they hate arcade because it doesn't let them to do their cheesy island humping shit without being successful, you know what I mean? Whereas if they did it in RB, they'd be like in first place. They do it in arcade, they end up in last place. And it's like, to me, that actually has a really deep sense of satisfaction where it's like, yeah, dude, like your strategy is shit and you should not like if your good way of playing naval involves completely stopping your boat and sitting there the entire time, like, you know what I mean? Your strategy's bad and you should feel bad. But anyway, that's just me. So I do appreciate you asking about the arcade mode, and like I said, there's a lot of content creators that there's not a lot of people making naval content, like Tug Bobo's out there pumping out a lot of naval content. There's not a lot of people making the arcade content, and almost every CC that I see that plays naval, they play RB. They sit in those long queues. They deal with a lot of those frustrations, and they tend to enjoy them, and I think that's fucking great. I don't see anybody really making the arcade content. And then what ends up happening is, I think the number one piece of feedback that I get when it comes to naval from like ground RB players and tank players and stuff like that, the number one thing that anybody ever says to me as to why they don't play naval is boring. I don't know how many times you guys have heard that. I've heard it about 10,000 times. Tug Bobo, I'm sure you hear it all the time. Production, I'm sure you hear it all the time. I'm sure Lance hears it all the time. Rowan, I know he hears it all the time. Naval is boring. And I'm like, brother, if you are bored while you're playing naval, you are playing naval wrong. Like there is something wrong with the way that you are mechanically involved in the game mode, because naval is far from boring. Naval is probably one of the most I am more hyperactive And I've got more shit to keep track of and more shit going on when I'm playing Naval Arcade than I do when I'm playing Air Simulation. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is like a lot of these guys will be like tank players. And I'm like, dude, literally a valid strategy in tanks is to like spawn in and go find a hiding spot and sit there for 15 minutes waiting for one guy to drive past, which is fine. Like I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit. I like tanks. I enjoy playing tanks quite a bit, but people will do that hundreds of times in a row and not be bored, and then they'll play naval one time and be like, naval is boring, and I'm like, you are playing naval wrong. If you're bored playing naval, something is wrong with your strategy. And I think just having people out there like Tug Bobo, Rowan Shipyards, all those guys out there that are hopefully dispelling those myths, and that's what I try to do from the arcade perspective, if I can help it. So it's just a little bit about why I do what I do. Like I said, I do play the RB mode as well, but I think there's a ton of good representation over there. And I find that when I do the arcade mode, that really helps people to see like, oh my gosh, like I'm watching you play. You're doing so much shit. Like there's so much going on. Like you're switching ammo types, you're switching targets constantly, you're constantly switching directions, you're constantly switching speeds, you're going from torpedoes to aircraft to, they're like, when I played naval, I just sort of like stopped my ship and focused on one target and then held left click the whole time and I was bored. Like, yeah, I bet you're fucking bored. Like, that's like spawning in a tank and sitting and spawning in and then just trying to fire howitzer shots 2,000 meters into the enemy spawn at things that you can't ever hit and just hoping for a lucky shot. Like, yeah, that'd probably be fucking boring if you did that in tanks too. I'm like, but that's the equivalent of what you're doing in ships. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you are in a fucking battleship. Like, go battle, dude. Like, get out of the spawn. Like, go push. You know what I mean? Be aggressive. Be aggressive. So, anyway, thanks for those questions, guys. All right.